Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right now we have already discussed War Machine overhaul details, but the buff that actually interests me slightly more from reading it is Ultron one, because Ultron used to be one of the top characters in the game, and obviously then he fell behind because his damage just did not held up. But otherwise, he's still very solid champion because he has double immunity, he has some regen access damage over time effects. Obviously, he's outdated. Obviously, his damage was not up there, and he could have used from slightly more utility. But there is a lot of potential in this buff, and I think at large they kind of addressed the biggest problem points of Ultron as a champion. And I think after this overhaul, he will once again become a viable rank-up choice for a solid double immune champion, for a solid robot, for a champion that does what he's meant to do. And don't forget, Ultron has some very interesting, unique synergies with Warlock, for instance, where immunities can trigger additional Fury buffs, and several other champions. So I kind of look forward to seeing this guy in action after reading everything here. Now, don't think if his prestige is changed. If it has, it's not the greatest. Obviously, he's still a tech champion, still a robot. And they haven't really taken anything away from Ultron. They have just kind of changed up some things. Now, we can just jump straight to the abilities. Now, always active. Advanced Robotics causes Ultron function abilities to have 100% to trigger and to be unaffected by ability accuracy. Additionally, Ultron is immune to bleed, poison, and slow effects. Now, that is quite interesting because obviously being immune to slow will not necessarily come into play offensively pretty much ever, because in majority of the case you have to get hit to get place slow debuff on you. With like only exception that I can call from top of my head is Sorcerer Supreme, but that's sure as hell gonna be annoying on defense that you can't slow the guy. Also, function evade. Every 7 seconds, evade all incoming attacks for 1.5 seconds. Now, this is quite interesting, and this could potentially let you play stupidly aggressive with Ultron, because you can see now the timer. They even mentioned in here notes, Ultron's Wade now has an icon to display it, making it easier to track when it will trigger, but we have also increased the duration. And what does it mean here that you have that guaranteed evade? That means you can intercept like a crazy rabbit without any repercussions, because should you be failing your intercept for 1.5 seconds, you will automatically be evading all of the attacks, in which point you will have more than enough time to dash back at some point and just get out of the way. So this is definitely going to be quite an interesting mechanic that you can either trigger on purpose or just rely on as a solid backup. And I do like this change to the Wade a lot. Now, for those of you who know, there were ways how to basically use that Labyrinth of Legends Ultron Wade offensively, but this is going to be even better than that. Now, the same function healing mechanic where he recovers health when he drops below 25% and 50% health, which is quite cool combined with recovery mastery, because if you play your cards right, you can actually take an Ultron at, let's say, 30% health, trigger the 25% heal, get him slightly above 50%, get few hits on a block, drop just below 50%, and get him all the way up to 70-something%. So that is a good old trick that people used to use back in 2016, 2015, something like that. So I like that it is still intact. Now let's move on. Function critical. Every 5th attack is guaranteed critical hit. Nice, why not? That's same as it was basically. Every 3rd attack inflicts a bleed debuff, causing 1,394 direct damage over 6 seconds. Now that actually I believe is a more potent bleed, and every 3rd attack means that in 2 combos you're going to be inflicting 3 bleeds on the opponent, which means he can reliably stack those bleeds up now, because previously I believe it was just like a undefined chance. So this change I also do like. It's obviously nothing major. Now, this is an amazing change. Now, every 4th blocked attack grants an armor buff, providing 370 armor rating. It's not the biggest armor buff for 30 seconds. However, it's very, very long. And on top of that, well-timed blocks count as 4 blocked attacks. So every time you parry, you're going to gain an armor buff, which is actually more useful than most people realize, because if you know for a fact you will be getting that armor buff, you can play around it and you can utilize it in many different scenarios in order to force trigger power snacks or buffets before you do anything else, or whatever else needs you might have. So I like this, that every parry gives you a guaranteed armor buff. That's kind of like the type of ability you can rely on, and I like that. And 30 seconds is quite a long time for an armor up. So you can probably end up stacking a whole bunch of these very effortlessly. Heavy attack triggers function damage for each unique function Ultron has utilized during this fight. Cooldown 5 seconds per unique function utilized during this fight. Okay, cool. But basically, you're going to have to drop this in order to access your proper level 2 damage, which is actually going to be the most interesting part. Keep in mind there's cooldown for 5 seconds per unique function. However, on top of your head, you can trigger armor up easily, you can trigger evade easily, you can trigger critical easily, you can trigger bleed easily. So that's already like 4. The bare minimum. The bare minimum, I believe that's 4 that you can trigger effortlessly. And let's move on. Launching a special attack, function cauterize, remove all effects from the opponent caused by Ultron's function, damage, gain 1162 attack rating for each effect removed this way for the duration of the special attack. Now, first of all, this is a huge attack increase, so his special attacks are guaranteed to snap quite hard now. A 1162 attack rating is exactly 50% of his attack, so if you trigger 4, 5, 6 functions, you can get 200 to 300% fury on that special attack. So it's comparable to the damage increase you would get from power shield nodes or flare nodes. So that is quite interesting there. But there's also a way how to make this damage linger, which is why I'm so excited for the Ultron buff. So special 1 inflicts a stun debuff guaranteed now, so that is also quite good. Guaranteed stun can always be used and abused. Special 2, attack routine. Whatever the attack bonus granted by function cauterize lingers 10 seconds after this attack is finished. Any function debuffs triggered during this attack are doubled. Any function debuffs triggered during this attack are doubled. And it lingers 10 seconds afterwards. So in theory, you could be playing with like 5, 6... Well, you're going to be playing for 10 seconds with a huge fury. Effectively. Therefore, he might be able to do a creep ton of damage, which is exactly what the champion needed, because he already has plenty of utility in his base kit, in between his regeneration, in between his immunities and everything else. Now, this is where things really do get interesting. Again, lingers for 10 seconds after this attack. That's crazy good. It really is. And again, these debuffs triggered during this attack. So there we go. Special 3, Eradication. Function, stun inflicted debuff lasting 3.5 seconds. Again, it's nice to have a guaranteed stun after level 3. Why not? Also inflicting power burn, draining 2 bars of power and dealing direct damage proportional to power drained. Now this is a quite neat combo as well, because opponent is stunned and you can be aggressive after this attack. And keep in mind, you will still trigger the function damage as well. It will simply not linger. Now, signature ability Absorption. That attacks that deal energy damage cause Ultron to regenerate up to 65% of the damage dealt to him. Each energy-based attack also grants Ultron a burst of power based on the damage dealt. Now, I really do want to see how potent is that burst of power, because it might be exactly what you need in order to be able to spam your level 2s, therefore kind of like spend most of the fight, if not all, under that function damage increase with that massive fury. So that awakened ability hopefully will be key to success there. Incoming Incinerate and Shock effects suffer 80% duration, and that's quite potent. Obviously still doesn't mean he's immune, but combining with the idea that he is poison immune, bleed immune, and will take 20% damage from Shock and Incinerate, makes him extremely versatile in lots of situations. Combined with his regeneration abilities, you can probably bring him in for like freezer burn stuff and things like that as well. So I'm quite quite interested in how potent this is going to be. And I don't know, I might end up taking my rank 5 5-star to rank 5 after seeing this. I do like what I see, I genuinely do. Let's move on to synergy bonuses with Black Widow, Deadly Origins, critical rating, sure, why not, family, whatever, my World of Metal, sure, nothing too special. This is quite interesting with Dragon Man, Sentinel, Ultron, Classic Guillotine. So this Ultron, each armor up effect also reduce incoming stun debuff duration by 0.5 seconds. And once again, these are guaranteed armor ups that you can easily stack up to 6, 7, 8. So you can basically become stun immune under certain circumstances. So that can have its uses potentially. I don't think it's going to be used wildly and everywhere, but it could definitely have some uses. My beautiful mentor with vision. Function cauterize now lingers for additional 7 seconds after this special attack is over. Additionally, while function cauterize is active, the opponent's passively heal blocked. So you can get a passive heal block, why not? That's always handy to have. Let's go. Ongoing synergy bonus is updated with MODOK. Ultron Prime now activating function critical also activates function damage. Sounds good. Why not? We'll see how exactly important that is, but that's about it that gets updated. Double Edge and Liquid Courage recommend mastery alongside Deep Wounds. Sure. So, overall, Ultron will largely remain the same champion. He has pretty much all the same piece of utility, except he is much more capable now dealing with shock and incinerate effect, which is so important when you add it on top of his bleed and poison immunities. With that being put aside, he seemingly has a lot more damage, which is exactly what I hoped from his buff. Now, how viable he's going to be after the update, obviously it's too early to tell. But I am definitely going to be watching it very closely. Because the guy means business, I think. I want to see, obviously, exactly how all the numbers translate to the game and how impressive he does see and feel. Keep in mind, running with Suicide Masteries, you're going to get that extra 60% attack increase. Hopefully, it scales that function damage as well up. And yeah, I definitely look forward to playing with this guy a lot. I do think he might regain a reasonable place back in the game. Maybe not everywhere, but definitely as a sustainable character that recovers most of the energy damage dealt to him. Is quasi shock and incinerate immune, fully bleed and poison immune, and can regen. I think he's going to be a very interesting champion to keep an eye out for. Obviously, if he still ends up hitting like Noodle, all of that is for naught, and none of it matters. If his damage is, at the very least, good enough, then we're talking about somebody that could be extremely helpful for a ton of players, especially players with more limited accounts. Well, that being said, let me know what you guys think about this buff, and I shall catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the